This is the middle of a metropolis with 3 million people. It's the Tampa Bay area on the Gulf Coast of Florida. If you zoom in, you'll notice an extensive grid of city streets with thousands of houses and businesses. But you'll also notice a lot of water in the middle. And if you stand on the shore of this water, right in the middle of this huge metropolis, you often can't see a single one of those millions of people. Join me as I explore this tranquil panorama of beautiful nature in the center of the city. This is Owl's Relaxation. We create scenic and relaxing videos. We hope to earn your subscription today. This video is sponsored by people like you. We'll explain later. I'm doing something different today and coming out to the walkway in the morning to see how it looks. And one of the first things I want to point out on the walkway is this really cool overgrown palm tree that has never been trimmed, so its trunk is completely hidden in dead palm leaves. It just has a really cool look compared to the trimmed palm trees you see in neighborhoods and shopping centers. There's also quite an overgrown quality to the walkway up to the pagoda, at least in the half that's closer to shore. Since this is 1 week after Hurricane Idalia, I can see a little more pronounced difference in the daytime of where the hurricane water got to, where the storm surge got to, was where we see debris, boards that don't belong down there, pieces of white styrofoam, plastic bottles, and that sort of thing, all that kind of stick debris versus the clearer area here. But over here you can see stick debris that got washed up with the water, and then beyond it's the natural clear forest. So there's definitely some debris on that side, and on this side you can see similar things with pieces of wood and bottles and sticks, even more so over here. Definitely can see that kind of line where the water stopped, and you got thick trees to the left versus the thinning ground with no debris on the bottom. But what we are kind of left with is residual water. This is like wet area here. It's lower land, then in the background it's higher ground, and now it's currently low tide, so this is all exposed dry ground. But I think the hurricane shifted the ground level a little bit, because I don't think that this kind of sandbar of high tide or of higher ground, I don't think it gets wet even at high tide. And that sandbar runs through much more apparently on this side. It's like you look to the right, you got dark low ground, sandbar high ground, and then to the left you get the low ground that's wet again. Then a tire hiding there in the bush. So for sure, you know, tides get out to here and get everything wet. Got quite an overcast day today, but apparently no one's out at this time in the morning. And you can see why I don't really come out too much when it's not sunset. Oh, this is actually high tide, not low tide. So that's good to know. The forest doesn't really get water in it now at high tide. You can't see any of the land or the islands. And it's also good to see that the bugs are not just out at sunset, although they're not moving, and they're in a different location. They're on these backboards instead of on the top boards, interestingly enough. But instead of being like alive and crawling, it's like they're sleeping or dead, or I'm sure they're not dead, because All those little black dots are the no-see-ums. And at other times of day, there's nothing at all on these benches. Like if you come early for sunset, there's just nothing. I have a new spider web in the corner here. This is the corner most people sit in, so that's gotta be new since yesterday. I actually did walk through at least 2 spider webs on the walk up here. Whereas when I come at sunset, I don't have to worry about walking through spider webs because I guess enough people came through earlier in the day. I like the way it looks over here. This is the blue color that you normally get in Tampa Bay when the sky is reflecting on the water. Over here to the left, we've got solid clouds, so it looks a lot more gray on the water.
Let's connect on social media. Links are in the description.
Still peaceful, but in a different kind of way. Oh, there's a kayaker way out there on the left, about to go behind the island. That's something I've never ever seen at any time. That's good, somebody is enjoying the kayaking opportunity. A few other things I've noticed since being out here that are different or that I maybe just don't notice during sunset. It's actually got to do with the pagoda itself. Maybe it is new, but I think there's a lot of spider nests here that have been attached to the wood frame. I think all these white sacks are some sort of egg sac, perhaps, for spiders. I don't know for sure, but if you know, please let me know in the comments. There's kind of a lot of them. So there's one there. There's actually several where people sit on the bench. So there's one on the top board, one on the middle board, and like a double one right here. And then I brought my yoga mat thinking I might do yoga here. And when I just picked it up, I didn't have the camera rolling, unfortunately, but there was something about the size of the palm of my hand on the end of the mat that had a bunch of legs like a spider, and so I thought it was like a gigantic spider. And then as it continued to crawl out and scurry down the bench away, I realized it was a crab. And I just couldn't believe that a crab, in the few minutes I had it laying on the bench, that it somehow crawled into the tube. I had just never seen a crab up on the pagoda at all. I've seen them before, sometimes not recently even, not in recent weeks, that they often are on the walkway and they scurry away when they hear you coming. And I did see one on these stairs earlier today, but I was so surprised. Also, while we're looking at the steps, we can see we are not at highest tide. We're more like mid-high tide right now, because where the dirt is on the steps would be the highest tide. So that explains why there's not as much water in the forest as I've seen. You can see the water really is stopping right there. But of course, all the dark ground that I showed you earlier in the forest is damp from the tide, even though the water level on both sides stops right there at the mud. It does get a bit higher, but it does not really go beyond the sandbar that I showed you. So that is some differences that I've noticed already. There's also a few more large birds out there. In fact, that one looks like a pelican. Ooh, he's flying away. That's unfortunate. Oh, he's gonna dive bomb for a fish. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, he's just a little too far away to see what he actually got. But there's some sort of white bird. I think maybe just a seagull to the right. So I have seen a couple large birds like that since we got here. It's a close-up of the bridge. There's actually a boat out there, so maybe there's a bit more boat activity in the morning. But other than that, there's not that much going on. Mornings, I see another bird, or actually I think it's the same bird flying away the rest of the way into the distance. I think I'm seeing a few more fishes jumping in the water. I don't know if I've caught one on camera, but I can hear and see them kind of frequently. Well, maybe there's a time of day that they're just more active. I have seen people fishing out here in the daytime. Apparently it is good fishing.
If you'd like to be an Owls insider, you need to subscribe to our email list, linked in the description below. It's the closest free thing to being our Patreon supporter.
Another difference I've noticed out here is the ripple pattern in the water is completely different than I've seen before. There's a lot of, actually I think the wind just changed direction. It's blowing towards us, but also there's like a diagonal left to right breeze occasionally that is creating two different ripple patterns. There was more of a breeze a few minutes ago, and it was a more pronounced pattern, but it's like the ripples are a lot smaller. There's what I'm trying to say. There's a small ripple pattern on top of a bigger ripple pattern going the other direction. I just noticed there's a huge fish just below me. Oh, I don't know if it's gonna capture it. Oh yes, there it is. Right in the middle. Do you see him? Right in the center there. Fish is like at least 1 foot long. It's longer than my forearm. That's the largest fish I've ever seen out here. Well, at least this close to the pagoda. There's been a lot of jumping fish out here though. Definitely an active time of day for the fish. I've seen a lot of them over there, kind of in that ripply area that's a bit different. We're getting a breeze from the left, creating a really cool ripple pattern right there at the moment. This breeze does not normally blow from that direction at sunset, and it's mixing with the other ripple pattern that's the dominant tide pattern that comes from the horizon towards us. So right now there's this really cool mixing of ripple patterns. You've got this really fine pattern of the wind blowing from the left, mixing with the wider, bigger wave that is coming from the horizon towards us. I think that's a really cool texture. You can see it even in this direction. While we're looking down, another thing I've noticed, there's no algae today. Last night's video, I showed you there's just patches of algae everywhere coming towards us, and I don't know where it all went. Hopefully it all went out with the tide that went out. But right now it looks absolutely perfect and beautiful. Strangely, there's still a bit of a smell of the rotting algae though, so I don't know why we have a smell when we don't have the visual. I'm also hoping, I've seen a few disturbances, like large disturbances on the water over in this area, and I thought, oh, maybe the tide's just going out and the island that's over here was starting to disturb the water. But then the disturbance went away and it hasn't come back in several minutes, so I think it was probably a school of fish, has been my experience in this area, because it did change shape. So I think that's a school of fish. But my real hope one day, and I was thinking maybe because I'm here at a different time of day and the fish are real active, that I would see a dolphin or manatee out here, because other residents have told me that they have seen them in this area of the bay from the pagodas. So that would be my greatest wish. But right now, the depth of water under the pagoda looks like less than a foot, so I would not expect to see a manatee very close. I actually looking over the edge and see the skinniest longfish. Fish is probably 6 inches long and just looks like about the thickness of a pencil. Maybe it was bigger and I just couldn't tell because of the reflection on the water. I don't think the camera would have even picked him up. But the water's incredibly clear, and that's also not normal for this area. Such clear water, no algae. You know, maybe the algae, or maybe the water is always clear, it's just I'm so used to there being algae directly below that I think of the water as being opaque when maybe the water is not opaque and it's just the algae blocking the view. I'm sure when there's a storm it does get cloudy and churned up, but right now it's just very nice to look at these ripples. The sun has actually come out a little bit, and with that I can see through the water even more. Out in the distance where the island will soon be revealed, I can actually see the rocks that will be poking through, but it's still probably got about 6 inches of water over it. When it's sunset, I never get to show this direction because this color is not normally happening so much in this far right part of the view. But today, this blocky cloud, it's like a brush stroke, a big fat brush stroke of a cloud dominating the scene. I'm also surprised to see that the whole marina area over there on the horizon and that giant building site that you see that's like the big orange block on the left, that there's just zero activity. Even though it's a Wednesday, shortly before noon probably at this point, and it's like no work is happening. Like, where is everybody? It's not a holiday. All the boats are in the port, the cranes are not moving. There's no sound or activity on that building site that's just plywood. Looks like it might be an apartment complex, perhaps, that's being built over there. But it just seems a bit weird to see, I don't know, all that marina port stuff with nothing happening in the middle of the week. I had always assumed, since I'm normally out after sunset, that it was all still because it was after work hours, but apparently that's not the case. The clouds over here in the sunset center of the view are starting to lift on the left side, creating more of that beautiful blue color that you already see on the right. I also see a boat heading out on the horizon. Cute little chirping bird that I never see at sunset just flew by.
I want to tell you a true story. I've been using Fiverr as a buyer and seller since January 2018, over 6 years ago. The first thing I bought was an illustrator to draw an owl logo, which our owl's relaxation logo is based on. Over the years, I significantly revised their original design, but I still consider that Fiverr logo the best $6 I've ever spent on my business. So if you need anything created for your business or personal use, you'll find plenty of affordable, quality freelancers for every task on Fiverr. Click our Fiverr affiliate link in the description below to discover all the types of freelancers you can hire on Fiverr. I recommend at least checking it out so you'll know what's possible.
Some more big fishes have showed up down here. Oh, there they are. They're about to go into the sun. A big one and a medium one. Now that big one might be the one I actually saw earlier. Yeah, I have no idea what kind of fishes, what species look like really, except for probably rainbow trout and salmon, but that one I don't think is either.
If you'd like to see us create more and better videos like this, please consider helping us with a one-time tip on PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo, or a recurring donation on Patreon. If you're the kind of person who tips a waiter a little extra for brightening your day, or buys dinner for a friend who helped you out, then why not do the same for a video creator? Even just a few dollars helps us cover expenses, hire help, upgrade equipment, and dedicate more time to improving for you. The best thing you can do is become a Patreon supporter. We have many levels to choose from, so you can be first to find out everything we're working on, contribute your ideas to future videos, or get your name in our credits. Links are in the description below, or pause this video and scan a QR code. It's people like you who keep us going, so thank you so much for your support.
Ooh, there's the skinny fish. I don't know. I don't think the camera's going to capture that guy. Where did he go? He's at the corner of the shadow.
Needle.
A needlefish? How do we get...
Needle.
Needle. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Oh, he's over there.
4 already?
Yeah. How come I can't get this guy? There he is. There he is. Swimming away from us, real skinny. Now he's coming back. That's that real skinny fish right there. What kind? I don't know. That's a real weird looking one. It's got a really long swordfish-like nose. Where'd he go? There he is. Our visitors have left, and the sun is really coming out. There's a dragonfly right at the camera. That was cool. But the sun's coming out, and it's really changed how the entire scene has looked, especially on the left. We're getting a lot more blue water. You can see straight to the bottom there. That's why it looks brown. Patchy, dark areas. That's the bottom of the water, because the water is so clear right now that you can just see right through it. In the nearest part, that's probably about a foot deep, but you can still see it. We also have the addition of a new boat coming towards us. And that blocky brushstroke cloud on the left has gotten elongated and looks, I say, even cooler than it did originally. And let's zoom in on this boat and see what they look like. Right in the center here. They have something big and white on the end. This is just a, I think, normal flat-bottomed boat. It doesn't look like they've got any canopy. Maybe 2 people and something white on the back of it. Maybe they're gonna come fishing. But it's really nice to see how different this looks during the daytime, and even as we've been filming, the difference between full cloud and sun. And even the guests who were here a little bit ago were commenting on how clear the water is, even from other times that they've seen it. So I'm not the only one who's noticed the clarity. A really large fish just jumped out of the water and created those ripples you see in the center. It's the largest fish I've seen jump so far. I didn't actually directly see it, just kind of out of the corner of my eye. So I'm just hoping it comes back. I wonder if it's that big long one that's been down below the pagoda. Oh, meanwhile our fisher friends have gotten much closer. Let me show you what's going on over there. They are now putting something in the water. There they are, right below the tip of that cool cloud. I'll zoom in for you. Now you can clearly see 2 people and some sort of large white thing on the back. Looks like a large white drum. And I almost wonder if they're spearfishing, because he's holding a long pole and looking down like he's gonna poke in the water. Unless maybe he's just using a paddle to get the boat out. Because it's got to be pretty shallow where they are right now. It's probably at least as shallow as it is right here. It's like only a foot deep. So maybe they're just not using the motor. I hear so many jumping fish. I wish I could catch a good one on camera. Oh, the sun has just gone behind a cloud. It was actually getting quite humid with the sun shining continuously, and I was starting to second guess whether I did want to do yoga here. Since I've got out here about an hour ago, there's been a marked change in the lack of bugs. They are disappearing. I would say they're still in this corner where there is a spider web, but the number of them on the back of the bench and on the top of the bench is pretty much zero. It's getting close to zero. It's a very big change from what it was like when we started out here. So that's proof these bugs do disappear during the daytime and only come back, I guess, at sunset. But just nice to see right in front of where I put the camera, not a single bug. That is very different from how it looks at sunset. Now we got a gentle breeze that will be perfect for doing yoga. I'm getting ready to leave after doing my yoga, but a lot has changed in that time, of course. The tide has continued to go out, and now we can see the very beginnings of the island starting to appear right there in the center. We can also see there's more sun out everywhere. There's a bit of a breeze blowing from left to right, and the tide's gone out so much that the boating people have had to start heading back towards the marina on the horizon there. So you can see there's a piece of land showing up on the far right.
If you're enjoying this video, please let us know with a like and subscribe. These are quick, free ways to show your appreciation and tell YouTube this video deserves more views. If you'd like to be notified every time we publish a new video, click the subscribed bell, then select All.
Over on this side, I've noticed a rare sight. I've really never seen it before in this island. I'm gonna try to zoom in as close as I can. There's a great blue heron perched on its edge. It's that gray blob right there in the center of the shot. And it just appears to be sleeping in the shade of that island. It's really kind of curled up and looking puffy with its neck tucked in. And it's moving its head around a little bit. But this makes me wonder, like, is this what herons do during the daytime? When maybe they're not hungry to fish, or it's getting too hot? Maybe he just sleeps there in the bushes. Another really big change I've noticed as the tide is going out is just how crystal clear the water is where the sun is shining over here. There's some nice ibis going through, but it's just that you can see straight to the bottom so well. Very clear. And even just in a few minutes, there's been more of the island appearing there, just the tops of the rocks. But you can even see the shadow of where the rocks is, or where the rocks are, because the water is so clear. I also have that cool left to right pattern of the waves going on right now, because of that nice breeze coming onto the left side. Really cool texture. The cloud situation has really changed since we got out here. It's gone a lot more wispy and a lot more blue sky. This would be the perfect kind of clouds for sunset. So fingers crossed that this is what it's like all day long. I even love that mottled texture there. But this will be a beautiful sunset if it stays similar to this all day. Postcard perfect, really. This wide angle finally looks nice since the clouds have dispersed into wispy strips. I love the gradient blue that you get from that dark color at the top to the light blue at the bottom.
So which part was your favorite? Please let us know in the comments. Thanks again to each person who supports us, especially our angel investor Patreon supporters. Learn how to get your name in these credits at our Patreon link in the description. We recommend you watch this video next.